is dive into the 3D floor plan. So I'm pretty sure that we are all familiar with this page, which is Houzz Pro homepage. And what we want to have access to is the design tool to dive into the 3D floor plan. So in order to do so, as we are working on the conceptualization and also the visualization of our project or our space, we are diving directly into the 3D floor plan. Once we get there, we will have access to our main page with the different floor plan that we have designed. Today, I'm focusing on Nikki's home, which is a space that we have created for Nikki. So this will be our project for the day. And by accessing that page, I'm directly heading to the space that we have created. So as we are talking about the 3D floor plan, we do have different views that are available and that we can introduce to our client. We have 3 different views that are available to actually showcase what we are creating, to also demonstrate what we are referring to, or also giving a better idea of what we are trying to achieve to ensure that we are fully aligned with our client's vision. So the first one, the first plan that we have is the floor plan, which is, I believe, a plan that a lot of us have seen before. It's mainly our Canva. This is where we are starting from. This is where we are actually giving us enough room to put together the idea that we have when it comes to the conceptualization of our space. What we are doing in the floor plan is adding the different elements and also different structure that we have for our space. So if we know that we have 5 feet walls, or if we have a space that is more rectangular or squarish, that's where we start from and establish the beginning, the base. From there, we are adding our different structures that will help us to have a more realistic view or idea of the space. And then we are able, still from the floor plan, to add the different elements, the different product to our space. And this is what we have. This is what we are ending up with. So it's a very flat version of the plan. It's just really adjusting and putting together our space. We can zoom in, zoom out, just to have a better idea of what we are currently working on. So this is our first plan. The second plan that we have is our dollhouse. So as we can tell, we have all the different bits that are here. I'm just going to duplicate my page. Just a little disclaimer, if you see a difference when it comes to the title, is because I'm working on a translated page. But here we have our dollhouse. As I said, this is the second bit. And as we can tell, we have a better view of our plan. This is really the advantage of the dollhouse. It's really for us to zoom out of our space. In here, we have much more depth, dimension. We have a better idea when it comes to the structures, when it comes to also, as I referred to the dimension, but also the colors of our different items. So it's also maybe more interesting for the client to have a dollhouse view, because they have a better understanding of what we are referring to. This is not flat. This is really focused on dimension. And this is something that can also help when it comes to sharing or communicating your vision to your client. In this bit, as we are referring to Nikki's home, we can also zoom in and zoom out. I'm using a mouse pad, and I'm just simply zooming in and zooming out, but you also have this bit where you can zoom in here on the left-hand side, or zoom out with the 2 buttons that are situated here. You also have the ability to rotate your dollhouse by simply selecting a bit. You don't even have to select, you can place your mouse and just move it around, and your dollhouse will move. So if there's a specific bit that you want to focus on, let's say we want to focus on the living area, I'm just going to move it around and zoom in. So this will be for your dollhouse. As I mentioned, we are focusing more on the dimensions, on the colors, on the heights. It's really a different effect when it comes to your the communication of your project to your client. Do I have any question maybe for the dollhouse? Is it something that any one of you have used before?
Yes, I've just used it. I've used it, and then I used it this morning with Flora, but I've got the pad, so I have to. It's not the same
play around with your fingers.
Mouse, but yeah, it's pretty easy, and then the doors fall down quite easily when you go in. But
yes,
it's just a matter of playing around with it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I believe once you get your get a bit more used to it, you'll be able to be a bit more comfortable with the tool as well. It's really about practicing, and do not hesitate to create projects that are test projects just to play around with the tool. These are it's a really great tool when it comes to sharing or just showing what you are doing. Yes, so that would be for the dollhouse. Lucy, is it something that you have, maybe I believe that you haven't used it before, but would it be something that you would be interested in?
Yes, so we haven't used this before. We've been struggling with making our floor plan, so it's really good to know that they're available for us, and it looks quite simple to use. It looks like a good simple system, but really nice as well. Nice quality sort of looking.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the sort of systems we've looked at, the furniture isn't quite, it's not a very good color, or this, that, or the other, but this actually looks like a really nice system.
Yeah, indeed, if you need support, please do not hesitate to get back in touch with us. We'll look into that. But we'll discuss this a bit further at the end of the presentation.
And I would also say we spoke about the floor plan like the last 3 weeks. So if you would like to have a more basic in-depth in terms of how to create it from scratch, just rewatch the old recordings, and then there would be there as well.
Would it be possible for you to send us a link to where they are?
Yeah, I'll send them right now.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great. So as we were referring to, so I'm going back to my main page with the different bits. So we had the floor plan that we looked into. As I said, this is a 2D plan. We have the dollhouse that we just dived into, which is the 3D version of the floor plan with all the dimensions, structures, and finish when it comes to the furniture. And then the last bit that we are about to dive into is the walkthrough. So I'm clicking in here, and here I have the walkthrough. So the walkthrough, it's also a great tool. It's a bit different from the dollhouse. It's not a bird view. It's not a version where you can actually focus on the full version of your space. You could actually, but here is really to immerse the client into a different type of experience by seeing where everything would be located and moving things around the space around, sorry. So for instance, as we have walked into our space, so the walkthrough is really the word, we can clearly tell that we have access in here to the kitchen bits. So we have the kitchen and the dining area. Again, if you're using a pad, you can move to the left, move to the right. You also have the ability to zoom in and zoom out. There we go. Something that is really great and really positive when it comes to the walkthrough is that by accessing actually the walkthrough, you can break the wall a bit like the dollhouse and just walk into your space and immerse yourself into the space that you have been talking about with your client. So if you have the question that I believe comes often, which is, how is this going to look like? You would be actually able to show freely how this is going to look like, or how that will look like. So this is a real experience when it comes to seeing, moving things around, and just playing with the space that you're walking. There we go. So this is really us being out. And as I said, by zooming in, we can actually break the wall and get into our space.
So this is great, Jennifer. And then how do I share this with a client, and what will the client be able to see on their end when we share it with them?
This is a really good question. And actually, we do have different options. And that's the reason why I asked earlier, I asked Safia how she was sharing her projects or how she was sharing her boards. We do have a process that is pretty straightforward. Here, by clicking on the share, whatever page you find yourself, the share button will still be available. So for instance, if I'm on the walkthrough or the Dollhouse, the share option remains on my right-hand side, and I can click on the share. There we go. By clicking on the share, I can actually select the option that will allow me to share. So there we go. And here I have the link. So what I can do is copy the link and then add it into an email. If I work through WhatsApp, I could actually share it via WhatsApp. However, I want to proceed with sharing that bit, I would be able to do so by simply copying the link. And this is how it would look on the client side. So I'm just copy pasting that link.
And then the client, will they be able to add and amend things on the floor plan as well?
No. So as we can tell, we have the page that just opened, and we can clearly tell that there is a difference with the page that we have on our end. On our end, we have a window on the right-hand side that helps us to add structure, as we can tell, product, and so forth. The client, so I'm going back to the link that has been shared, the client won't have that option. So the client can't amend the different, the space by adding different structures or elements to the space. They can only visualize the space and obviously communicate with you if there's amendments to be done, but they can actually visualize by having a look at the 3 different options that are available, the 2D, the Dollhouse, and the walkthrough. So if I move to the Dollhouse, as I said, there's no window on the right side. As well with the walkthrough, the client can visualize, zoom in and zoom out, but can't make any amendment.
And do the client need to have a Houzz account to be able to watch this?
No, the client does not have to have a Houzz account to have access to that page.
Okay.
Yes. Do I have any question? Anyone has any question related to this bit or any comments? These are 3 different options that are available. It can be actually very useful if, as we said earlier, if you want to communicate your ideas or ensure that your client have a better understanding of what you are referring to, or even if they want to amend certain bits. It could be the color of a wall. You've chosen that color. Oh no, that color is not the color that I want. It's pretty straightforward. Let's see on the go what color we can actually amend and see to have a finish when it comes to the space.
I know I was mentioned before in terms of the power of the mood board. I think this is like taking it to like the next level as well, where the client can like be in their own space, play around with it from different viewpoints. And like I said, maybe you can even just duplicate the plan and then add different colors to different plans, right?
Indeed, that's really that's something that could be done as well. So if we go back to the 2D plan, you would have also the ability to duplicate your plan and, for instance, offer different options to your client and see what they prefer. And again, share your plans with your client and actually mention this will be option 1, option 2, or yeah. And this is a really great tool to ensure that your client move in a direction of more of a realistic experience, if this makes sense. Yeah, a more realistic experience.
Okay, and if we make any amendments on the existing plan, do we need to share again with the client, or will they see it directly on the link that you shared?
That's a great question. So if there's any amendment that needs to be done, the client will see it directly onto via the link that has been shared. So the link is a link that is live. So if there's any amendment that needs to take place, you would be able to do so, and the client could actually see it directly live. So for instance, it could be a very realistic a situation where you're on the phone and you are trying to get the client's feedback, and your client is telling you, well, if we could place this there, or for instance, move the sofa in a different direction, how would that look like? If the client has the link open and you make the amendment, they will see it directly. So I think it facilitates as well communication, and also in terms of time, you can gain as well a lot of time by having a link that is live and ensuring that you can make the amendment directly.
Thank you.
Okay. Do we have any other question related to the different views? Would that be helpful for you?
Yeah, sorry, that's very helpful. If we're not on the phone call, what they would do, I guess, would amend it and put it on an email. There's no way that you can annotate at the moment? That would be something that would really help. Just even if it's on the plan and they can annotate and say this, this, because we're not always on the phone call together, and that's more time. Just something like that, and then they could send it back. I don't know if they can send it back. We tend to do that, but currently that's something I always find it just doubles my work if I have to go back in, and they can just send that back. But so that keeps the communication going, doesn't it, and fresh.
Yeah.
Other than
the great product requests.
This is a good
else that would help you.
Yeah, just like a quick one that we do in Adobe normally, or something like that. That's what I normally tend to do on. I don't know if I can do it on Vectorworks, but something like that.
I would say one workaround for now, what you could do is to download it as a PDF.
Right.
And then in the PDF, do you know how you open for annotate in the PDF?
Yes.
And potentially show clients that I'll send you the live link. I also send you the PDF.
Fabulous. Yeah.
And then in the PDF, you can like amend it here. Maybe show them how to open the PDF for amendments.
Right. Okay.
And then
that's a great idea. Yeah, I'll do that.
But I'll take that back to the product team as well to annotate.
Yeah, he's here actually. I just realised something. And in terms of finishings, I haven't used all of you. I've just quickly did some. But are they consistently updated and things to just newer options? Sometimes, I mean, there are some really nice ones in there, so which I'm quite surprised, because normally, I think it was Lucy was saying that it looks they're nice products and images. But that's the thing. I mean, we spoke last week about if we could upload things, say, from Vitra or something like that. They do have the 3D models, and whether it's compatible or not, maybe.
Yeah, I have put that product request in as well already. Right. And in terms of the finishes and just products in general, like they're constantly being added. So like check the library, and also if there is something that you're missing, don't be afraid to reach out. Just raise the product support ticket and say like 3D Floor Planner would like to see XYZ, and then we can take it to the product team.
Fabulous.
Yeah, I think that is one of the strength of Houzz in general. Like they're constantly working on improvements on the software, and we're relying heavily on the feedback of the users. So basically everything that you see is built from feedback from the users. So really like take part of that process as well, and make sure that your voice is getting heard. So if there is anything that makes your life easier, let us know so we can develop it for you.
Fabulous. Yeah. I did see the email this morning. I thought, wow, they're already changing stuff. That's great.
Yes.
We do value, as Natalie said, the feedback that you are actually sharing, because it helps us to move in the direction of our professionals. Sometimes we just develop the items, and when it comes to practical, basically moving from the theory to the practice, it doesn't work, or it's not really well adjusted. So it's really great to have feedback. Something that I really wanted to share quickly is actually how you can download the PDF, just to ensure that if it's something that you would like to do, you will have the ability to do it easily. So in order for you to share actually the PDF, you can actually click on the shares here on the top right corner, and then you can click on print. And then from there, you would be able to save it as a PDF. So that would be for your 3D floor plan, but you also have the option to do so with any of the plans. So for instance, if you have the virtual bits. Okay. There we go. So for instance, if I want to print this bit, I could actually move it in a direction, thinking that we want to move on the living room. And then I'll be able also to select to print. And from there, having the PDF version of it to print. And then, as Natalie mentioned or gave a suggestion, you can add your different comment if needed. Yes. Okay.
Just one last question.
Yes.
Quickly. I mean, I don't expect to have it from this because I know this is a quick tool and things, but elevations we tend to do like straight line drawing elevations, and I normally use SketchUp and Vectorworks to do an elevation, and I just wondered whether you can do that and create one. It's honestly, it's not really important. I can do that. I can use that still.
You didn't talk a bit more. I'm actually not sure what you mean with elevation.
It's like line drawing. So like you have the plan, and it's really good that you can go into 3D, but sometimes they just want a flat wall and they just want a basic how to say, it's like a basic just line drawing. So it will just show you as an elevation how it would look when you're facing the wall directly. So where where I mean, you can see it in this 3D and that just and you need it too, but it's not really super important, but that's a tool that I've been taught to use, and I use it quite often with the client just to give them an idea of each wall will be it'll look like this when you're facing it. But
and do you use the line drawing or the elevation more for the placement of things, so showing that, okay, this is the dimension of the wall, here is where this one would sit? Yeah, like what information would you like to have?
You can see, and it's like actually it's a bit more an accurate way of seeing this is like a pretty way, isn't it? And and sometimes that's what all clients need, but it actually shows you the space between, it gives you a proper indication of the spaces between and things. So yeah, I mean, we can put it up there.
Right now, no, but I can take it back again to the engineers and see what's in the pipeline and what's possible. Yeah. Cool. So with that being said, do you also then want to have the different dimension you said? Like,
That'd
for example, like,
yeah, because we always do that in SketchUp. We always measure up each the distance between, and that is again, otherwise you're just cramming everything in on it. It looks pretty, but it's not functional.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so we do have a new participant. Oh, that is gone now. Okay, we'll just carry on. Yes. So as we were able to see, we have 3 different views. We were looking into the desktop. Just for a reminder, we looked into the 2D plan. That was the flat version of the plan. We looked into the Dollhouse, which is the 3D version of the plan. And then we looked into the walkthrough. We didn't walk into, but we looked into the walkthrough. So these are the three different plans that we are currently offering to actually showcase what, as we said earlier, what you can do and what you're offering to your client. But we also have a different, which is our last version when it comes to the plan. And this is the augmented reality. And that's really a way for you to take the experience, the experience of the client to a different level, to actually allow them to, again, get a better understanding of what you are referring to, but I'll say not only a better understanding, but a more realistic vision or understanding, and just making sure that they are actually not only pleased, but they understand where we are going to and the different bit that you are offering. So this is, as I said, the augmented reality, and this is a great tool because it's a tool that you can use with your different devices. That's a tool that you can use with your phone. It's a tool as well that you can use with your iPad if that's what you're using. So you can find yourself in the space in which you have decided to work in. So it could be the client space, that is maybe empty, and you just want to project actually what you are currently working on for the client to see. So without talking too much and making sure that you can actually see what I'm referring to, because I believe that image will speak better than my words, I'm just going to share my screen. So I'm using my device because we want to make sure that we can move around with our phone and share what we are doing with our clients. So I've connected my phone, I'll share the screen of my phone. And what I'll do, just to make things a bit more easier, I'll just share a video. There we go. So I believe that everyone can actually see my screen. So
yes, perfect. Thank you.
amazing. So what we want to do is having access to the video. So I'm just going to start, and I might stop it in a bit to give a bit more explanation. But here where we are starting from, I'm really sharing the video because to avoid any technical issue, we never know with technology. But just to start, I'm looking for the Houzz app. If you do not have it, I'm really suggesting you to download the app, which is a great tool. Most of the things that you are finding on the desktop version can be found on the app as well. So this is a great tool. So we are starting by looking into the app, searching for the app. And then here, as you can tell, I have found Houzz Pro. I am currently on the main page, which summarizes all the different bits that are available, that I've been working on. So if you have projects, if there are different things, whether it is a proposal that you created and all that bit, everything should be available into the homepage. So here from the homepage, what I'm going to do next is actually clicking on more. So I've clicked on more. So I believe I'm just going to go back to make sure that you see what I'm referring to. But here at the bottom, there is a more option, as you can see, that is available, and that will lead to actually to your 3D floor plan. And here we have the 3D floor plan that is available for us. If I'm going too fast, I'm kindly asking you to please let me know so that I can stop and just restart, because I know that it can be tricky when there is when it goes too fast. So I'm just carrying on. We are in the 3D floor plan, and I'm just going to select the 3D floor plan because this is what we are currently working on. Here we have all the plans listed. So these are all the plans that I've created, that I've been working on. And as we started with, we are going to dive into Nikki's home. So I'm selecting Nikki's home, which was the first plan that was on the top of my page. Once I select Nikki's home, as I can tell, I have different plans that are available. So on my phone, I have the 2D plan, which is the plan that we saw earlier that lays flat. Then from there, we have the 3D plan that we can move around, a 360-degree experience again with more dimension. And then we have the augmented reality that we will actually showcase in a bit. So once we select the 3D plan, as you can tell, we have zoomed in directly. We have more dimension, and we can move it around. What we want to do next, once we have selected the 3D floor plan, we want to also move into the last bit, which is the augmented reality. Once I click on the AR, and I'm just going to go back. There we go. So as you can tell, on the top right corner, I have AR, which is the augmented reality. By clicking on that bit, that will lead me to the next bit of the experience, which is this bit. We have a vector that actually shows us where we will find ourselves once we decide to project our space or our plan into our space. So this will give an indication of where we'll find ourselves. What I want to do while projecting my plan is really focus into the living area. So I'm moving by just playing around with my finger on the living room. Once I'm done, I can click on next, and that will lead me to my actual space. So before I project the space or the plan into the space, what I want to ensure is that I keep my phone or my device on the floor level, ensuring that we can scan the floor and just to stabilize my device and the scanner that would allow me to project actually the plan. So here I'm playing around to ensure that I can cap the plan. And from there, you will see the floor appearing. And that's when I can tell that the different vectors have actually acknowledged the space that I have found myself in to project the plan that I've been working on. And this takes us to our actual experience. So as I was saying earlier, I want to find myself in the living room, and this is where I found myself in. Here we have the living room that has been projected in my space. So you can walk around in the direction that you wish to go. So on the left-hand side here, we have the kitchen bit. You have the door.
And I would say as well, it's really cool here if you have a window place where it is a window, like you literally see through the window. So it's a very like wow factor from a client's perspective to be able to walk through their projected space in their own space.
Yes. So as we were able to see on the desktop version, we were able to zoom in, break the walls, zoom out. Here we're actually finding ourselves in the space, imagining ourselves in the space and just moving around.